right where you are. You're sitting in an electrical matrix of energy beyond belief, or most human conception. You'd be surprised to know how much knowledge and communication can be carried on its waves.
All right, here we are. Ready to do a next episode. I'm not allowed to say the number because we don't know what order we do these in. And Reagan, what's this thing called again? Making sense of something.
Navigating digital and print marketing.
There we go. Yeah, see, can you remember all that?
That
Richard?
is high speed. Navigating print and digital marketing. I love that.
Digital and print.
Digital and print
That's
marketing.
almost as long as Hickory Vines Winery and Venue.
That's true. That's a big name.
So Hickory Vines Winery. That's what we got. Rich here from Hickory Vines Winery. An awesome new. How long you been open now?
We've been open 10 months now. 10 months now.
That's crazy. It seems
crazy.
like you've been open 2 years or something.
It does. We've been very, very fortunate with the outpour from the community. This year has flown by. We've gotten so much done, but it feels like so much longer as well because of so much that has happened there.
Yeah, and aren't you guys like booked out till like? Cause you do rental stuff, right? That's booked in next year or something.
Yeah,
already?
we've already been taking bookings into next year, both for the winery and the new venue that we're building. It's something that we're grateful for. Is I get a chance to talk to a lot of people that come in, and this year, especially this month in October, we finalized a lot of the weddings. Over the past 2 to 3 months, where people had basically signed up before they actually seen everything that was going to be in place a year prior.
Yeah.
So fast forward to where we're at today, we have people that are coming in, and I'm standing them in the middle of a concrete slab, that's almost 10,000 square feet, and explaining what's going to be happening in November and December with this new building that's being installed, et cetera. And people are like, sign me up. I'll go ahead. And so they're already renting it with the down payments and all that kind of stuff like that to be able to get in for 2025 because the pricing is super cheap. I mean, compared to, competitors and stuff like that, it's super cheap. They're getting a big bang for the buck. I mean, it's funny because most recently I read a book called Go Giver, then Go Getter, right? and part of it talked about the value you create and give. Yeah. And don't worry about what you get in return.
Exactly.
Because it will come back to you tenfold. And then somebody else had asked a question, why don't you pay more? And I do have a firm belief that I'd rather be busy every single weekend of the season with people renting it out and experience it, enjoying the huge property now that's over 30 acres. We started originally with just about 10. Man. Now with the new property we bought this year, it's over 30. I'd rather be busy and make a smaller amount than basically work one weekend out of each month, have some massive event, massive revenue come in, and then just sit around and look at it the other 3 weeks. I want people to enjoy it. I want it to be their place to be. And people get that sense when they come there, they see that is their place. It's funny because it's your place when it's a very small, singular type of entity. Yeah. But as it starts to grow, as much as you're responsible for it, you no longer own it. Yeah. Everybody else around you owns a piece of that with their ideas, their memories.
All these stakeholders.
Yes. I mean, especially, the people that live around us are neighbors. And then
it's funny you said that. I was going to bring this up because, by the way, this is our second podcast shoot. But Reagan screwed up the first one so bad, we've got to do another one now. That's why he's hiding behind the curtain. Oh, it's Tommy's fault too. Yeah, Tommy's fault. It's never my fault or Rich's, of course.
Not at all.
But didn't you say that the neighbors? Partly how you picked up this additional 20 acres was they started believing they were seeing what you were doing, right? And then kind of, tell us a little bit about, because that was cool.
That's a great story. The Beer family is an amazing family. I mean, they had been there forever along with the Darlin family. I mean, just some amazing families and people when you get a chance to meet them. But we were very fortunate that the property behind us that was actually touching our original property was owned by one of the Beers, and Mr. Beer, basically was selling it. I heard from some local individuals, hey, would you be interested? How come you didn't did it? I'm like, whoa, what are you talking about? I had no idea.
Yeah.
And within a very short period of time, within like a week or 2 weeks, was able to work with Mr. Beer, and we worked something out, which was great, and I was able to acquire that property. The boys continued to farm and do some stuff until about July, and then from July up till now, we've done a lot of stuff. We've put in campsites, an orchard. We've got a second vineyard trellis in there. We've got the new pad for the building. We've got the gravel road that goes all the way to the back of the property now. So yeah, we've been very lucky that it's expanded a vision that was always seen, but not really known how to get there. And I'm a real big person on manifestations and all that other stuff like that. That if you see it, you can achieve it, and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
And I had this vision that I wanted something to be very great and at the same time very approachable for the community. I've been to wineries my whole life. I remember, God, when I was in my 20s, going out to Napa Valley and Sonoma Valley, not by choice, it was for work.
Yeah.
And then people that I was with wanted to go to those things. And, I'm a New Yorker. I'm a kid that grew up in the projects in New York. Never had a lot of land or anything like that. And to be able to see it kind of manifest today, as I went through all those wineries from the young age, and then as I grew up and got older, I didn't feel like I belonged. And I'm like, wait a second here. You work hard every day. You're a blue collar guy. I've been in, manufacturing my whole life, 27 years, other than the Marine Corps. So I feel like I've been a roughneck my whole life, so to speak, right? Through the rough things of the projects in New York.
You can tell by your arms. Your arms look rough.
Thank you. The Marine Corps. And then, you go into manufacturing, that it was just fitting that this be a blue collar type of place, and it doesn't mean that white collar is not there either, because really white collar is blue collar too. Everybody's working hard at everything they do. There's very few of us that can sit back and just put our feet up. So I wanted to be that place where people came in, they could relax. They didn't have to worry about drama. They didn't have to worry about anything other than having a good time and getting that service that you're looking for. One of the things that I thought was interesting, we went to Columbus and it was our first year last year going to the Ohio, wine, conference thing.
Yeah.
And we're still new to that. We're still learning a lot. There was one lady that had...
There's some snooty other vinery people, or what do they call them? Wineries.
Yeah, but
vineries.
To be honest with you, they're amazing people.
Really?
Oh my God, forget about it.
Because I would think you'd have some snooty wine taste. You picture the person, tasting wine, and that's what I think is so cool, right? Because I wouldn't know the difference. I see those things on TV where the people are sipping it and they're telling. I'm like, I would feel out of place. But here you're saying no, they're cool. They're late.
Yeah, it's funny because unless you experience it, and you're on the outside. The community, the winery community, and we're very, very new. I call everybody else the OGs of the wineries, the OGs of the vineyards, because they know so much, and they haven't held anything back from Sonia and myself. My wife does an awful lot there as well, making the wines and things. So we go to this conference, and I'm listening to these people on day one for all these new, the newbies, if you will, and that's us. And they mentioned the things that you had to be concerned with, but there was one girl in particular that said something, because it wasn't related to manufacturing and production and financials and stuff. I mean, all those things that I pretty much mastered.
Yeah.
I still working on my people skills. And some people will tell you if they know me, there's one side. And if they know me in a different environment, there's a whole other side of me. So I'm still learning about people. And she said this, she goes, when you come across somebody that works for you, as you expand and you want to get bigger so more people can be involved, you have it's a 10-80-10 rule. And there's 10% of the people you immediately bring in with you. You see them, they got the great heart, they know everything, they're just perfect at it. You bring them in, don't ask any questions. Then there's 10% you don't even touch. You don't even bring in. Everybody knows that, right? And then there's 80%. And they say, well, when you begin to expand, you have to use a lot of that 80% because those top 10, very, very difficult to come by. So what you do is you train, or you bring in for nice, you hire for nice, and you train everything else. And that's an expertise of mine, training people, organizing systems. That's my expertise.
Yeah.
So the girls that we have there now today are amazing. Now, a lot of them we've known for some time, as family members, and even some of the people that come and sing there as entertainment, we know them and their families as well. So it's very nice that we've had
Do you ever have somebody that they came and they didn't sound that good? That you were his family and you had to be like,
oh no.
Oh, wow,
I'm
really?
telling you, we have been very, very lucky. And I'm not just saying that. That's not that false, because I could tell you a whole bunch of bad stories about other stuff too.
We got to get some of those in.
Yeah, we'll get some of those in. No, but we've
cool.
been very, very lucky, even from a guest standpoint. We've had like one or two situations in the year, and even then they weren't that bad. I mean, it's just something that, when you're seeing all of this overwhelming, goodness and, things are kind of working out here and there, it's not to say we didn't have problems. It's not to say that we don't have things that we've got to work through. It's just, it's not that big of a deal when there's so many good people around you.
I can't help but think too, I've just noticed that I always like to say, you get what you give. you know, and you seem so passionate about what you're doing. You seem so, and you're talking about your people skills, but the little bit I've been around, you're so into people, so excited about meeting new people. Really what I love is how excited you are to give people this great experience. You know, that's what I like. Even I know I've had talks with people privately about money sometimes. And I go, to me, money is experience. That's all it is. I'd rather have a really cool experience and worry how much, you know, now obviously you need to have some to do that kind of stuff. But, I wonder sometimes, you ever think that part of what you're seeing is because of how you're seeing it versus, you know, someone could look at
100%.
Okay, yeah,
you hit it dead on, and what people don't believe is what you see is what you get. What you see and believe is what you manifest.
Right.
Because your eyes are doing nothing but taking in light, and your mind is what's translating it. Your mind is what's decrypting it.
Wait, did you tell the story last time where the guy on the bridge and the...
Oh, yeah.
That was it,
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll tell it again because that's a good one. That's a good one. So
it got messed up last time. You got to tell it again.
Yeah, that's right. So when you take a look at anything, right? So you've got, it's an old kind of proverb where there's this older gentleman, he's sitting on a bridge, and this young individual comes up and says, "Hey, old man, what kind of people live in there?" And he goes, "It depends." "What do you mean it depends? Why can't you answer the damn question?" "Look, where did you come from? Where you came from? The people, the things like that. What are they like?" And he goes, "Oh, they're awful." And he goes, there ain't a good one out of a lot of them." And and the guy's going on and just ripping his old guy. And the guy's just sitting there relaxing on a bridge, you know.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Otis Redding song, "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay." The guy's just watching his time, and this dude's just like ripping him. And so he goes, "You don't want to go in there." He goes, "There are a lot of those same people in there." And so now the kid's all pissed off because he's halfway between here and nowhere.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know what he's going to do. So next thing you know, this other kid pops up and says, "Hey, old man, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing good." And he gives that other kid a look like, "Ooh," And he goes, "Hey, I got a question for you. What kind of people live in that town? I'm out experiencing new things. I'm looking for cool experiences, blah, 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 blah." And he goes, "Well, it depends." And he goes, "Yep, here he goes. He's going to tell you exactly what he told me." So this other guy's like yelling at him. He's like, "What the hell's going on?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "What kind of people came where you from?" He goes, "Man, they're the greatest people in the world." He goes, "I've been so lucky." He goes, "As a result of the people that I know, I've been able to go on this journey and travel to different towns." And I'm da-da-da. And he goes, "You ain't going to believe this. There are the same people like that." The other kid gets so messed up at him, starts yelling at the old man, "I thought you said da-da." And the whole moral of the story is that you are going to find and see what you're looking for no matter where you go.
Yep,
if you see problems,
Amen.
you're gonna multiply them. If you see opportunity, I love the thing when I say to my family members or anybody I talk to, there's two mentalities. There's scarcity and abundance. What kind of mentality do you have? There's fight or flight syndromes, and I typically think that there's massive opportunities, and I typically believe you should fight first. Sometimes that's gotten me in trouble over the years as being aggressive and things of that nature, because you can consider me like an A-type personality or a red person versus somebody who's passive and maybe like a green. There's different colors that we talk about all the time in my other life. Yeah. So it's one of those things where we have been very fortunate, but if you see it, and I wanted to see a place where people actually felt at home, and literally it is our home. It's on our property. Our house is there. Our barn is there. Our garage is there. Everything. I mean, we used to have Pasofino and Tennessee Walker horses in this area where this vineyard is now, and everything in the pond. And so it's been a great thing where people have come in, and because so many people are seeing it, it's making that vision, what you're seeing, more of a reality. And I think people know that if the type of person walks into that environment, the energy is not going to fit well with them. It's like if you walk into maybe some of these retail stores at 2 a.m., the energy is just not good. Yeah. So you make a conscious decision. I will not shop there or go there at 2 a.m. because I just don't like the energy, no matter how bad I need a Kit Kat or something.
So is your need a what?
A Kit Kat or something. You never know.
You're like, if anyone's at Walmart,
if anyone's at Walmart,
you see
Rich, give me 2 a.m. I need a Kit Kat. So,
cool story. Tommy was at a gas station 2, 3 in the morning down here, and they got to hang out with Jelly Roll. He'll have to tell you that story.
Is that right?
And he said Jelly Roll was totally cool. This was awesome. Years ago. I guess something happened with his plane or bus or something, and they were driving and stopped at one down here, 97, 71. Yeah. The gas station, I guess there's a little area you can sit and have, and they sat with him, hung out and have food.
Wow.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool.
Getting
that's
off track.
Stuff.
But Do you think too? I wonder. So you said your other life, is that kind of meaning the manufacturing?
Yeah, the manufacturing side.
And you're in management there, right?
Oh yeah. I'm a director of U.S. Central Operations. Yeah.
Okay, so
I was a senior VP for a while, for several years. And
oh my gosh, yeah, we need like 4 podcasts.
Yeah.
So I can't help but think. I mean, some of the skill sets and experiences you're bringing here, right? I'm assuming it's whether you're at the winery, or you're at Walmart, or you're at the manufacturing. It's that same. It's the same things going on with people. Right?
Everything. It really all comes down to when you take a look at the whole thing. This is my lens that I look through. You've got to have a vision. After you have a vision, you have to have a strategy. After you have a strategy, you have to have a structure. And once you have a structure, you have to have staffing. And once you have your staffing, you have your systems. And once you have your systems, you have your execution. Those are the 6 things that you're looking
Reagan,
at.
that's a real.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a real.
That's cool.
So when you sit back and if somebody were to say, "Hey, Rich, if you were to go into a situation, what are the things that blah blah blah?" You get all this questions like, "Look, hold on, you got to stop right there," because it's not a specific answer. You cannot give a specific answer to somebody about a specific thing until you understand the entire overview of your vision, your strategy, your structure, your staffing, your systems, and your execution.
Yeah.
Because once you frame up what's happening or the questioning or what you're looking at, you can then begin to formulate, hey, wait a second, our vision's not clearly communicated enough, so people don't understand the end in mind. That's part of the problem, And so as a result of that, we haven't structured ourselves properly. And with the right structure, have we all the right people in the right places to do that? Now that they're all in the place, do they understand the plays that they're supposed to run, which is your systems and things of that nature, and able to follow it? And then the execution piece of it is you just, your systems and your execution piece is you come back and you keep this on like an active feedback loop just to make sure. I mean, one of the examples is at the winery I thought was pretty funny. My wife loved making all these drinks, specialty drinks. People love them. Yeah. She does a great job at it. That's not necessarily my forte, right? Mine are a whole bunch of other things, lifting heavy objects, paying the bills. So she writes out, there become so many different varieties. She writes them down on the side of the fridge. Not a problem. I mean, she got it up there. Hey, this is what this is. This, but it's in handwriting. I'm having a hard time reading it. The girls are having a hard time reading it. But people are loving it. So my wife, poor wife, she's the one having to make all these special. We're looking at her saying, "Hey, you want to make one of these? Hey, you want to make one of these? Hey, come on over here and make one of these." It's like, I mean, some of it's so easy too. When you really make it 2 or 3 times, you're like, "Damn, I could have done that a long time ago." But you get a little confused. So what we did is we created a standard word drink card, and on that standard word card, it basically says, "This is what the drink is. This is what step 1 is. The glass it goes into. This is step 2, 3, 4, and 5, and this is what you do when you end it and get it to the customer."
That sounds a lot like, if you're at Marco's Pizza or something, you'll see. You can see from the counter they'll have how many pepperonis.
100%. And you need to know that, and everybody does. It doesn't matter if you're just a mom and pop operation. Doesn't matter if you're a big corporation, because it does this very thing. It helps the individuals that are trying to do it. And so many people are like, well, you need to have this and got to standardize and da-da-da-da. But they're forgetting the people aspect of it. If I felt confident that like that one of the entire nights after I made the card and I put it up there, I was so proud. It was all pretty.
Yeah.
It was laminated. I showed every girl that came through, "Hey, check it out. Look, we got this." They're like, "Oh my God, that's so much better. I understand it." I don't think my wife one time that night made a specialty drink because we didn't have to ask her. But she was 100% making it when it was everything she wrote for us and what we needed to do. It just, we couldn't digest it enough. Now, that's where my expertise always comes in. And on the other side, all the way on the other one, is our cleaning routines by area.
Was she bummed out she wasn't making them?
Oh, no, not at all.
Happy.
Oh, no, she was happy. Yeah.
Good. Double win.
Yeah, she done told us 50 times how to make the stuff and showed us 50 times. And we're like, we don't know how to make it. So when you do things like that for the team members on that structure that I was talking about, how you look at it, it goes a long way in making it easy for the people to make it easy for individuals to come in and have a great experience.
Yeah.
Because that energy, people feel that. If you're rushed behind the counter, or if you're frustrated,
for sure.
If you're having a problem and it has nothing, like, I mean, I've been in restaurants and, the empathy starts kicking in now versus what it was before. It's like, man, I'm hungry and it's taking forever. First thing I think of now is like, wait a second, does this poor girl have way too many tables than she's supposed to have because 3 people called off? Is she brand new? And I'll say, "Hey, how you doing? You're doing a great job. How long you been here?" "I've been here for 2 days." Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You've been here 2 days. You're crushing it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you see their spirits are, and you're not trying to manipulate them. It's just a human being is struggling. And that's what I was hoping and wanting for our place, is that it was a place that you could come in and not struggle. I want the girls to have a good time who are working. I want the guests to come in and have a good time because it's their place to be. And in turn, I have a good time because I sit back and I watch people's nonverbals and I watch interactions going, this is their place.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's
you're making me think a couple of things. One is, and you're more well-read than I am, so I'm gonna. But one of the things I thought I learned is consistency. The consumer is constantly seeking consistency, and I won't go through the whole thing now. There's this little thing about a guy getting his hair cut, and they give him wine and beer, and they change all this stuff up, and eventually he doesn't come. They do a great job cutting his hair every time, but he doesn't come back because they say, like, why do people like McDonald's? They like that consistency. As soon as they pull off the highway, even though it might be crap, it tastes exactly the same crap every time. And so there's something comforting or grounding about that. So I can't but think, as you were saying that, it seems like it's really addressing two things. One, you're getting that consistency of those drinks. Yeah. So whoever's coming back, now it's the same. I remember the pizza shop. There was one around here one time involved, and she's like, oh, I'm going to try this thing and this. I'm like, oh my gosh, pick one. You can't keep changing it. It just messes us up. And then to your other point, I wonder if this relates, was, so when we do sales training, I have like this, and everyone gets all wigged out about memorizing a presentation. I'm always like, it's not about memorizing the presentation.
About the intent.
If you have this knowledge down, and I've seen it over and over, like to your point, they walk in, the people that would memorize it, because once you memorize it, it's not like you're saying it like a rote script. You're saying it more natural because it becomes natural. But more importantly, you're paying attention to the customer, right? Because the ones that didn't, you could see them, like you said, getting flustered, or they're thinking, they're like, do I say timing market? And you're like, oh man, dude, they want your attention. They don't want you to sit here while you're trying to remember what to say.
Well, so I think people want authenticity. They want to know they want to know that the person they're talking to, like, I always love this thing called the trust equation. It's massive for me.
Okay.
Only because I hope people understand my motive. People that are close to me know my motive.
Yeah.
So when you look at the trust equation, it's reliability, intimacy, and credibility over motive, which means doesn't matter how reliable I am, doesn't matter how intimate we are with one another, doesn't matter, meaning we know each other, doesn't matter how credible I am. If my motives are unpure and selfish, and I have a small m or no m at all, the equation's zero. There's zero trust, right? You're just trying to get what you can as an individual out of the top three things. Well, I know this person, they're reliable, so if I can get them to do this, there's some credibility in there, but it becomes transactional. But if you flip that equation around and you look at it and say, I understand that person's motives. I understand what they're trying to do. I believe in what they're trying to do, or I believe in them, etc. And they're reliable. I mean, again, when you're that high in the trust equation, you still have to have the person's reliable.
Right.
There's an interaction, intimacy with the individual, and they're credible. With what they say is what they do, etc. That's a big T at the end of that equation, right? So you got some opportunity there where your reliability may be 85%, right? You may not know the person as well, but everybody around you who knows this person and says, look, this is who that person is. Okay, that's their motive. I can ride with their motive. I mean, one of the things you guys asked me coming in here is, that I enjoy this kind of stuff. I enjoy connecting with people. I enjoy the energy it brings, just because there's somebody out there that it will resonate with, and does that help them or does that guide them in a certain way? So if I get a chance to speak with somebody, that's massive. One, somebody's listening, so it's always good. Two, is they're giving up one of the most precious things that we have that we cannot get back, and that's time.
Yeah.
So when somebody's willing to listen to you and somebody's willing to speak, those are some of the most important things, in there, because it's not what's in it for me. It's that Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
It's the self-actualization that, I'm at a point right now in my life that I'm trying to give so much back when I'm communicating, talking to people. I said this to a gentleman who just had his daughter's wedding at our venue this past weekend, and I was grateful to him. And we went back and forth with the compliments, and I happen to know the guy. And I said, you don't understand something. I said, I have been able to see so many people's most important day this year.
Oh,
Think
wow,
about that.
Yeah.
When somebody has their wedding,
cool.
It is their most. I won't be there for a divorce.
Yeah.
I won't be there for a sickness. I won't, So because that's not.
And what a joyful, memorable day.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, amazing day.
The joyful day.
Yeah, amazing day. I mean, it was great. The family members, you see people come in and want to rent the place, and they're extremely nervous, and how's this going to work out? And there's so many questions they have of themselves, let alone anything else. And then the day comes, and then there's the nervousness, and stuff starts to form, and then all of a sudden there's the ceremony, and stuff is like, oh my God, this has come together so great. and all that, frustration and burden kind of gets off their chest. So I get a chance I've been able to see that journey every single time somebody comes in. A little bit different, but almost all of them follow the same trend.
I'm guessing but ahead of time, you're seeing a lot of the tension, right? Like
100%.
Worried about the detail. Hey, how much okay, yeah. So just like the movies and the real life that
it's real. Yeah. It's real. So much tension and stuff, and everybody has a right to
Why are those flowers purple?
Yeah. Or, hey, what's going on with this? Where does that table go? How come this isn't up there? And, people want their perfect day to be perfect, and they should. And so I was telling him, I said, this is incredible because every event we have is a special one. Let's example, painting. So somebody's going out there for a unique painting event, which is amazing. They're up there, and we've got these people that come in, and they're amazing artists, and they've got a great.
So this is one of the things you do.
Oh, it's one of the things we do. Yeah,
and people learn how to paint, or they just hang out while someone's painting.
No. They paint themselves. They got the paint brushes and the canvas.
Wow,
and
okay.
There's like 20, 30 in there at a time doing that.
They're all painting.
Yeah, they're drinking their wine. They're painting. There's an instructor up there telling them what to do, helping them. We've got people that do macrame. We got people that come in and do yoga.
What's the crazy? Anything really, really different? You're like, I didn't know people did that as a hobby.
Oh yeah, it's just like something to do.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a couples thing. Sometimes it's just an all girls thing, which is amazing when you see friends come in. And so here I am sitting, and somebody is having a special night out, and there's multiples of them. There's 30 or 40 people in there. Somebody's coming in to relax and stretch out and do something physically and mentally with their bodies, and they're coming to our place to do that. Yeah. So when I stand back and I was telling them, I said, this has been a crazy year because people are coming here and associating this place with an activity that is going to be something that is very personal and important to them, and one of their best days. One of their best days.
Yeah.
And I'm getting the chance to, and my wife is, and our team members are getting a chance every day to see that, where, some of us may have had more than one wedding. I'm not saying who, me. And, you go through those days, and, obviously the last one was, many, many years ago with my wife, Sonia. And it was an amazing day. There was friends, there was family, and, all those things. It was an amazing day. Birthdays. We've had 90-year-old birthday parties in there.
Oh,
We've
cool.
had children birthday parties. We've had baby showers. So think about that. You've got weddings, 90-year-old birthday parties, baby showers. So baby's not even born, not even there yet. And then you got a 90th birthday party on the same weekend, on the same day.
Oh, very cool.
We had a baby shower in the morning, and we had a 90th year birthday party in the afternoon. And I sat back, and I'm like, you cannot make this up. This is incredible. And I think,
well, just to see how excited you get about that. And it's, people got to pick that up in a few seconds.
Yeah.
All right, I got to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got such great reviews, so it's perfect timing as you're saying this. I wanted to let me just read one of the reviews offline. So this is a review. They meant to say what a gem of a find. Everything about this place is welcoming and enjoyable. You can tell this venue is a labor of love. The owners, Sonia and Rich, are very personable and welcoming to all of their guests. They seem to be constantly investing in the property and amenities so that their guests can enjoy it as much as they do. I love all the scattered places around each part of the property where you'll find picnic tables or Adirondack chairs. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Chairs so that each group of guests can find their own cozy little space to hang out and go on. And it goes along. Yeah. You got, there's review after review. I forget how many. You got 4.9. Great. So, obviously it's manifesting itself too in terms of, and I can't help but think earlier because I almost forgot about it if it fits here is, and I'd like to believe too at Tom Money Saver, one of the things we talk, when you think about it, and I'm sure you have this, where do you find the right price, right? The where you're charging the customer, like you said, I'd rather be busy all the time. And I think so many things I find this sort of, I don't know if I'm using the right word, dichotomy, where I want to do it from more of a spiritual place, an altruistic place. And yet I find the same principles that might be there can easily be considered greed, meaning not greed in the sense we use it, but it ends up at the same end game, right? In other words, when you pour your heart into it like you are and you price it in a way you're pricing it, it's long-term profits, it's residual income, it's all the business things that we talk about. It's just such a more peaceful way to attain it, right? Than to sit here and be focused on the end. It's more about the means than the end, right? The end takes care of itself.
Well, I think an important piece of that is this: motivation over margin, and so And again, people come up with all these sayings, and they got all these little, fancy things and colloquialisms and blah, blah, blah. And some of them are true. That's what you got to be careful with, right? Is that I think there are these courses and these books and all these videos and everything you can read, and people are looking for that the catchphrase.
Yeah.
People are looking for the way you should hold your hand when you're talking to people, not directly pointing, not holding a fist, so you use the thumb. And we all went through that, was the thumb. Back in some presidential days, regardless of your constituency, everybody has the right to vote, and I love that. We should have that. So who cares who you want?
Oh, we can say whatever we want on this podcast.
Oh no, it's good.
No, I'm kidding. So Reagan's already edited me a couple times.
That's true. Yeah. So when you look at that, there are certain things that inspire or do certain things, but I really believe that my motivation is, and we've talked about that already, the value of that. And I appreciate the kind of turning me on to that book, because I read books like that. It's just, I'm probably reading easily 50 books a year. It's ridiculous.
That's something we could talk about.
But it's a process, though. Remember I said process? If you read 10 pages a day, right, every day, you get through a lot of books a year, but it's consistency, as you mentioned. Consistency every day, those 10 pages. Well, I've got like 5 or 6 books on my desk.
That's some serious discipline, too.
So it's closer to 50, 60 pages a day. That's not a lot. Yeah. That's really, when you think about it, it's not a lot. But
feels like a lot to me.
Every day is a lot.
I'm trying to watch 3 episodes a night on Netflix.
And struggling.
Yeah.
Although I watched Tulsa King.
And I got to make popcorn in between.
There you go. I watched Tulsa King. I binge watched that. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. So we're watching Old Man right now. It's pretty cool. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I got to check that out.
Oh, it's bad. It's Jeff Bridges. Yeah.
Oh, I got to check that out. Yeah, he's pretty good.
I can't. Let's stay on.
So when you look at motivation, like versus margin, and what that means is, you have to turn a profit, or that place won't be there that long, obviously.
Yeah.
But the amount of margin, and I was talking to several people about pricing, and other people coming, because there's smart people that come in that. There's a lot of blue collar people coming there, a lot of white collar people coming there. A lot of hard working people coming there. They know different backgrounds.
And we know there's smart blue collar and dumb white collar.
Yes, pretty much, and smart white collar. There's
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. So there's amazing people, and we've got so many teachers that come in there, and law enforcement, but then we've got individuals that come in there that understand the industry, which has been amazing. I will take advice from everybody.
Yeah.
I will take it. It doesn't mean I have to use it.
Right.
Some people don't even want to hear the advice. I think that's a bad mistake.
Drives me crazy. Yeah.
Steal everything from anybody who's willing to give it to you.
Amen.
And so I had a gentleman just recently come in, and I think he came in for one of the weddings actually a couple of weeks ago, different wedding. And he was talking about the pricing of our bourbons and stuff. Hey, that's a little low. You could be doing this. This is what your rule is. And we weren't far off, but we were on the lower side. And I know that. I've got an MBA. I'm not stupid when it comes to math, right? And what you should be doing. But I want to make sure, and we got a whole Freedom Rentals USA business, 20 homes in Mansfield and stuff. So I always make sure that my rates are lower than the market average, right? And somebody said, well, why would you do that? You're leaving money on the table. Yes, but I'm not losing tenants. I'm not losing customers at the winery, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Because if you have to generate new customers, new tenants, when you're training in the manufacturing world, I have to generate new employees.
Oh, my gosh,
You're killing yourself in an area that you can't even see. So if I have to sacrifice a little bit or X amount on the front end to make long-term consistency in that, everybody wins. And that goes back to the point.
Let me ask you this. So, and I'm putting myself out there a little bit, and also my unreadness. No, I'm kidding. But I always go for the Sam's Club model is what I call it, just as my own kind of goof. And where I say we're value, the intersection of price and quality. At least in our business, right, in marketing, well, in a lot of businesses, right? Someone can always be lower, right? Yeah. Walmart came and proved that, right? But it sounds like you're saying that. You're saying lower, but you're not the lowest. You're just trying to be.
Yeah, I'm pretty close.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I wonder.
I know in the rental part we are, for sure. Yeah, for sure we are.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, it's like a 3-legged stool, right? It's quality, it's cost, and it's time.
Okay.
So when you kind of look at that, and you've got to be careful, because if you want something of high quality, it's going to cost you and it's going to take some time.
Right.
You can only literally have, for the most part, like one leg of the stool, depending on how you do it, and you try to massage it. But like if I want something fast, well, if you want something fast, it's going to cost you money, and it's probably not going to be the greatest quality you want.
Right.
And if you're like, I want something cheap, quality is going to be bad, and you might be able to get it fast at that point. But there's just different things that. Or no, I'm sorry. If you want it at a cheap cost, it's not going to be that great a quality. It's going to take you some time to get it because there are other paying customers that are giving higher dollar value, et cetera. So of that three-legged stool, it's like how do you balance all that so it stands on its own very firm? And when you're talking to people or you're pricing stuff,
do you even really have what's your it's got to be weird. Your competition's probably not. I mean, do you even really have like a direct? I mean, are people calling around? I mean, sometimes it just probably need an event that's open or a place that's open, right?
Well, that's the interesting thing is because nice, clean places with an amazing atmosphere, an amazing environment around it are difficult. I mean, it's not something you can just erect somewhere. There's only so many places that are doing that. So we're very fortunate that the market is hot. When it comes to that, people are looking, and the fact that our rates are relatively lower, and we provide a lot of value. There is not an event where Sonia and myself aren't on the premises with them, customers, making sure stuff's going right.
Wow.
So when you've got
crazy.
A problem, the last thing you want to do is talk to the person who needs to talk to a person, talk to the person.
Yeah.
It's usually, hey Rich, hey Sonia, hey Rich,
now, how old
hey
are,
Sonia.
because you have children, right?
Yes.
How old?
So I'm 51.
No. Oh. Okay.
But I've got a son that's 37.
Oh, what? Oh, I thought you had because didn't you have practice? Oh, 14.
Yeah, so I've practiced my whole life. So I've got a 36, 37-year-old. I got to double check on that one.
Wow.
He's in the Air Force. He just got done with his tour at the White House. He was there for like 7 years. Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, he's a stud. And then I've got my next son. He's 28 years old. He is a pipe fitter out of Indiana, but works in Chicago and all them places and stuff like that. Love him to death. I mean, he reminds me a lot of myself because he's a roughneck. He works in the mills. I mean, I started in the mills out of the military and stuff like that. I've got a daughter. She works like the electrical. She's 24, 25 years old. She works the electrical stuff in Indiana, like the power lines and things like that.
Yeah, you got all these roughnecks out.
Yeah, they're all roughnecks to some extent. Military. And then I've got my 14-year-old. He plays football for Madison.
Okay.
He's going. Next year will be his third year. He just finished his second season, stuff like that. Plays in the
so
band.
he's the only one that's around.
He's the only one that's around.
I was wondering, like, with it being your house.
Yeah.
In that house,
I fired him twice. I fired him twice. So that's the other side.
I wondered.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think what it is, he doesn't understand. Like, I grew up, poor, very poor actually, and my kids didn't want for anything or need anything, but it didn't come easy. It came with a lot of work. Hey, Dad's always working. Dad's always going to school. But there was kind of standard work time where we always did stuff on the weekends. We did martial arts together, and I was an instructor for many, many years. So I had my kids kind of go through that with me, and so they saw something different than what I think that my 14-year-old sees. He sees a life of abundance everywhere, and doesn't understand the scarcity you go through to get to that, so to speak. And so my second oldest son will visit often, and he talks to the youngest son almost as if he's like the parent, and he kind of gets on him a little bit, and 14's like, well, I hear you, it's like looking at him, the old man talking to his older brother, so because there's so much age difference. So
that would be interesting. I was wondering how that would work out. And I know we're probably going all off course, but who cares? So what, because you've mentioned a couple of times now you're up. So what clicked? I mean, so you came from this, it sounds like a pretty rough childhood maybe, or at least very poor. But yet here you are with the school. And you also, by the way, I want to point out, were you the one that told me you were in the Marines and the Army?
And the Army, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay. Because these guys, I was in the Army. And my Marine buddies always make fun of me. I'm like, well, there's a guy that was in the Marines and the Army. So.
Well, I went to the Army second, so they'll understand. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I joined the Marine Corps at 17. Did my 6 years in that. Basically.
Thank you very much for your service.
I appreciate
man.
that. Thank you for yours.
Well, it was National Guard. I had to shovel snow one time.
It's all good. and so after that, went into the Army as an engineer because I didn't have enough money for college.
That's what'd you say? Because I did combat engineer to pay for college.
Yeah. So
wow, same thing.
Yeah, same thing. So I was very grateful for the military. I was very young. It wasn't necessarily by choice that I had to go into the military.
Oh, this is a story you want to hear.
Yeah. So
what did you do? No,
I was given a choice, which I'm grateful I was given a choice at such a young age. I was 16 years old. and I did some very bad things. And I was able to be given a choice. I was very fortunate how all that worked out.
I'll be honest with you. I think every male in the United
100%.
States. I remember going to bed. And again, I was National Guard. I was the softest thing at Pretty. And within a few weeks of being there, you are so humbled. You were like, what? And then when I got out, I could have done 3 or 4 jobs. I remember, when you're a kid, you got to take a nap. You're the center of the universe. All the stuff going on. You come out of the military, I'm like, all right, I'll do 2 jobs. I'll go to college. I'll get up at 4 and run. And it was amazing, the transformation.
It changed my life. But one of them is just, having a foundation of something that's meaning something. And it's funny because Gene Hackman, the actor Gene Hackman.
I love him.
He too is a Marine. There's no was. He too is a Marine.
Oh, and I forgot about this Marine thing.
Yeah, we got that old thing.
Badass.
Yeah. So
you're the real men of the Navy.
Yeah, exactly. We appreciate all the rides. So they're like Uber of the water. But anyway, so I love the Navy because my daughter's in the Navy, so like that. Or was in the Navy. So if you look at it, Gene Hackman said it's a great movie, The Replacements. It is Keanu Reeves. It's a football movie. It's great. And at the end of the movie, he says something, right? And he says, greatness, no matter how brief a moment in a man's life, stays with him forever.
Oh.
And so when you see things like, sports, you see things like military service, you see things like when you put yourself in those situations where there's a greater goal than self, and it's more of a team thing, it's more of a unit thing, it's more of that, you start your mind starts expanding more outside of seeing than just what's important to you, like a young child, etc.
Yeah.
So I went in, like I said, at 16, I got in trouble, had a choice, went on the delayed entry program because I was so young. I graduated high school early. Going to the Marine Corps, was like the youngest Marine 2 years in a row. They have these parties, and the youngest Marine, oldest Marine have to get together, cut the cake, all that. 2 years in a row, I had that because I was so young going in. So I was very fortunate, but there were men around me for many years, and
So you had to man up quick.
I had to man up quick. I got my rudder tapped many times when I was younger, and I'm grateful for that because these individuals didn't hold back any punches.
Got your what tapped? I don't know if I
Rudder. Like on a ship, you got to tap a little rudder to change the ship.
Oh,
so it's a saying that I have. So I got my rudder tapped.
Thanks for explaining it.
Yeah, I got my rudder tapped to where I'm going in one direction. They're like, no, you're not. You're going in the other. So I turned my rudder the other direction, even when I didn't want to turn it.
Yeah.
And so that really helped me understand. I was having, obviously children at a young age, and so I think what clicked for me is as I continue to kind of fight through this. It's funny. There's a saying that you will keep repeating the lessons of your life until you learn from them and then move on to the next stage of that. And over the past decade, I've been grateful both with my, my relationship with my wife. She puts up with me. I still put up with her, but I think she gets the raw deal most of the time.
Okay, good thing you said that.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, come on. I'm a trained professional.
In case she sees this.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, but there's a lot of truth to that.
So you're saying, so what got you from that place to really what the pivot point, in other words, to where you are now, it was kind of forced on you. Is that really what happened? In other words, you were going in this bad direction.
Yes.
And someone said, all right, you got this choice.
Yep.
Thank God you chose.
I chose
military.
The right one,
And because of that, you started to see yourself differently.
Yes.
I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
I think that's one of the biggest. Like I know I was out of college. And a guy said something to me that I'm like, no one's ever said that, And basically what it was how I saw myself. I was like, oh, I think I can achieve this. And he's like, no, you can achieve this.
Yes.
And I remember like, what? And it was so stupid. I sat back and I was like, yeah, why not? Like, what do you mean? Why was I holding myself? And I swear, it seems like more and more, especially my kids are, in high school and college. And the thing that I feel the most passionate with young or the high school, college age is like the lack of belief in themselves sometimes, and like they just need a little push or a little something. I don't know what.
Well, it's interesting you say that because so when you look at we'll call it the first decade of my adulthood was all military. So I get out and then I join manufacturing. That's all I know, the military and manufacturing steel, rubber, and glass specifically, right?
Yeah.
So I get into the steel industry, but this is the next 30 years, if you will, almost 30 years of my life after the military.
Now, was there college in between there?
Well, that's what I was going to get to.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So I get out of the military. I need to go to school. I need to do this. And it wasn't really a priority for me. It wasn't even on my radar because I hadn't had that upbringing. It hadn't been, I was the first person, in my, family to get, that college education.
Me too. Yeah.
And then then get advanced degree. So
I never did that.
So I wound up getting in this, going into the steel industry, working on the floor, shoveling things like manganese and furnaces. You ever watch Rudy, where they got those guys in the steel mill and the silvers? And that was me. That was me for years. For years, I was doing that as an hourly guy. Hell, I was a union official for a while there as a treasurer. This whole longshoreman thing, I was a longshoreman there for many years working.
Those guys that were trying to strike the ports or whatever?
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, they have other things. They don't just have that. They've got steel industry stuff. And so I'd worked in, because it was one right off the port. And so I'm working there, coming up through the ranks and stuff. And then, I get my opportunity to become like an hourly supervisor, right? And I knew I wanted more, and I had leadership skills, and, I had drive and stuff like that. And the guys there saw that in me. So I would say from that time up until, I'd say, 10 to 15 years after that, and when I kind of moved into Goodyear and did some stuff, I was very fortunate to run into 4 or 5 key leaders, key people that helped transform me, even when myself, I didn't know what I was capable of.
Yeah.
One of them was Peter Zazowski. Unfortunately, he passed of cancer. I really miss that guy. I mean, even right now, I'll get emotional over it, because he was kind of like a surrogate father to me. Polish guy. He had a doctorate in metallurgy. He was born and raised in South Africa. This guy, he could drink you under the table, and he could out-math you. He could outwork you. His wife was a professor in physics. Wow. His son graduated Northwestern at like 16, 17, wound up working over in Europe for BMW as a head engineer.
Yeah.
Brilliant family.
Super cool.
And this guy always took time. And they always say, if you talk about people, even if they're past, they're never really gone.
Yeah.
And so this individual, and there's many others. I mean, there's Sam Cooper, there's, Spencer Hill, there's Jim Rozowski, there's, Peter Zazowski, there's Roger Renforce. And I'm saying all their names because they're so important. Some of them aren't here with me today, obviously, because we're that much older.
Yeah.
And these guys always took the time to help me. I mean, James Overby was one of them. He's the guy that helped me kind of through Goodyear, and stuff. Always stuck with me because they saw my motive.
Yeah.
Even if I wasn't as reliable.
Yeah.
Even if I wasn't credible all the time, and even if they didn't want to be near me, the intimacy part, they saw my motive, and they continued to put me in positions that made me grow rather than just giving up on me. And that's where I think I struggle the most, is because I don't want to give up on anybody. And sometimes it puts me in a position where I become very aggressive towards the individual, like, look, come on, you got this. Ah. And then sometimes people just don't have it in them. But when you find that one person that does, or those couple people that do, you give them everything you possibly can. So I was lucky.
What's your 10-80-10 thing? Exactly. A little bit.
Yeah. So during that time there, Peter was very adamant about me going to school. And now during the military, I was going for law enforcement. I was getting every course you could that had nothing to do with business, had nothing that was going to be transferable. I was going to go kick down doors. I wanted to work SWAT teams and stuff like that when I got out of the Marine Corps. And that never came to fruition. But I started going to school, for basically a BSTM, which is in technical management. It's like math and science and project management, stuff like that. And then wound up getting my MBA. But he was always one to tell me, he goes, you need to understand, you got to ask the right questions to get the answers. Don't always have an answer, but always have a question. And I didn't understand. I thought as when you're in charge, you had to answer for everything. No. You better be able to have the right questions, understand what it is you're trying to do, make sure you're engaged with individuals, and the answers will come.
Yeah.
Don't be just trying to give answers to give answers. And he was always teaching. He was always teaching and coaching. I'm like, man, this is like a guy I'd want to be. He's very knowledgeable. He can drink anybody under the table. He's strong as an ox.
Yeah.
He don't take crap from anybody. He tells them exactly where they're going. Like he was like one of the man's men, you know, and I really kind of aspired to see that, And then I've had many other individuals that when I had those skills, but they were raw, just threw me in. When I was in my Goodyear days down south in Tennessee, a gentleman by the name of James Overby, and I actually wound up connecting with him up here, and we've split paths back and forth, and he would always throw me out there. I was always all upset with him, right?
Yeah.
And you talk about Covey stuff. I love Covey. I talk about Covey all day. So Stephen Covey, when you talk about the emotional bank account, and at first, I saw it as a withdrawal and didn't realize it was an investment in the emotional bank account, which is like, hey, we got this guy coming through. He wants to walk through the division. He wants to see this. He wants to see that. Go take care of it. That's your damn job. It ain't mine. What the hell? I'm going to tell this guy?
Yeah.
You'll be all right. Go ahead and tell him. What do you want me to tell him? Tell him what you're going to tell him. That's what he would say. I love that because what he was trying to do was teach me, don't be so over anxious for stuff. Don't be so overthinking of stuff. You have a mission. You know what you're doing. You're out here every day. Don't be all hemmed up on things. Go tell him what you're going to tell him.
Yep.
But what if you ask me a question I don't know? Tell him you don't know. Don't lie to the man. So it was, and here I am. I'm like in my late 20s, and getting my early 30s, and I'm having these kind of conversations with individuals because you don't know. But I was learning very, very quickly to the point where you begin mastering all these skills that people are putting in position. So when I'm working with people today, it wasn't the edge. You got to get the education because there's some foundational stuff. It helps you think abstractly sometimes, but you got to get those checks in the boxes. It teaches you. Really, a degree it is nothing more than that shows somebody, other than some specialty thing, right? Really shows somebody, and I love it because I think it was on Tulsa King that it said it, he said it, is it shows somebody that you can show up consistently for 4 years, do some assignments relatively the way that, they're supposed to be done, and that not really mess anything up, right? So that's what prospective employers are doing. Can you show up? All right, you prove that.
Yeah.
Can you follow direction? Okay, you do that. All right, I'm going to make a bet that you're not going to screw anything up in my thing, and I'll try to teach you what I need you to know. And that's really kind of what the degrees are, unless they're specialty stuff.
My father-in-law used to always say, it shows you can start and finish something.
Pretty much, yeah,
Same.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny, the consistency thing is a key. I used to use the word discipline a lot, but it has a negative connotation if somebody isn't receiving it in the word what you're trying to mean.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you got to have discipline. Oh, great. I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. No. You just have to get up in the morning. And it doesn't matter if it's 5 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. You have to get up. And as soon as you get up, there's things that you have to do. Just be consistent at what you're doing, and all of it will come. So I've changed my verbiage from being disciplined to consistency. So I was consistent in the military for, a total of like 10 years there. I was consistent in manufacturing over the 30. I was consistent with my education and got those. I was consistent in, my martial arts and getting, my black belts and stuff like that. Consistent in my businesses to where, we've got three of them.
Did something happen? Because I'm just processing as you're saying, because we've really got digging into your personal life more about, because it's pretty interesting how at some point you got to start believing in yourself. I mean, you obviously didn't when you were 16, right? Because you're running around doing whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming it happened in that military phase where maybe you saw like, I can do something here. And all of a sudden that can start to explode, right? Like in a positive, like you start to realize, boy, what else can I do? I can do.
Right.
Was there did it just sort of happen slowly over time, or when did you almost become self-aware, like, wow, I can maybe, because a big part of everything you've said to me since I met you is your vision. Like you're always talking vision and seeing this picture out there. So clearly at some point, I'm guessing when you were, maybe when you were 16, you didn't have a vision, but by the time you were whatever, 21 or 24.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think it was until my 40s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, there's no starting late type of thing. Just start.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's late. I mean, I love the Kentucky Fried Chicken story. I love that one.
Yeah.
I mean, and I won't go into the whole morbid beginning of the story.
Oh, I don't know about the morbid.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was, to my understanding of the whole story, and I'll paraphrase it. So, but
you got me interested in it.
Yeah, so the Colonel Sanders, right? The story goes is that he attempted to kill himself.
Oh, okay.
Failed at that.
Yeah.
So here this poor guy is thinking, I can't do anything right. I've got this family that's gone now. I've lost my jobs. I can't do this right. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
And can't even do that right. And this is how kind of like the story.
Laughing, but yeah,
it's how the story goes. Because you can laugh because it came out to be a very good story in the end. So the one thing the guy could do is he could make chicken. And so he's making chicken. I think his neighbor knocked on the door and smelled it, blah, 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 blah. And I know I'm paraphrasing this a lot, really a big overview, but the whole intent is this guy does do something extremely well, but he didn't feel like he did. And it wasn't until he realized something that everybody else knew at that point that was close to him, that small circle. And when more and more people saw it, the greater his value of himself became. And the next thing you know, here it is at 60, he's starting Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah, that's
and I can't
wild.
remember. I think it was like, I think he lived to like 80 something or whatever.
Yeah.
So he had over 2 decades of building this empire of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Isn't it funny? It's almost, as you're saying, it's almost like someone else has to believe in you first.
Yes.
Like that's
and it's funny you said that because I can't remember if it was some Covey training I went through a long time ago, or something I read. I think it was Covey. It was one of the Covey videos or something I saw. It's many, many years ago. There was this person dancing in this festival. They're the only person dancing. I don't even know if music was playing.
Yeah.
This person's just going at it. And everybody's looking at them like they're a fool. The most important person in anything is the second person. Because the second person is what creates momentum. The second person got up and started dancing with this person.
Yep.
Several minutes later, everybody's up dancing.
Yeah.
It took the courage of that second person. So who's your second?
Oh.
You know, Sonia happens to be my second.
Yeah.
Right. Who's there with you?
Another bonus point.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Come on. Yeah. And then there's truth in that too, which is good because she's always
what was
there.
that guy? The guy that would drink you under the table? And
Peter Zazowski.
Peter, yeah. Peter, yeah. He gives you some tips on the marriage, talking.
Oh, no, but he was a crap
How
talker.
long was he married?
Oh, my God, forever.
Okay,
I mean, because he was significantly older than me at the time. I wouldn't be surprised if, I've got to remember, I mean, he was older than me now.
Okay.
I mean, so he was considerably older gentleman. And, he was still with his wife. I mean, really good, hard-working family man type. But, yeah, so when you think about it, it's like, who's your second? Who's your second? Now, for Sonia, I'm her second. There's no first. You've got to be first, right?
Right, yeah.
So, they talk about ride or die and all this other stuff like that. And you learn to start staying in your lanes and you start building together as that second. Then there's a third. Who's the third? Well, I mean, there's a handful of the girls that help us today that are helping with bottling and helping with, what we're doing. And, I mean, it's just incredible how many more people are involved. And it's getting to the point of as we get bigger, it's not even a concern of who's going to be involved because so many of them are there ready to go saying, hey, what's going to happen with this? Hey, what's going to happen with that? And it's not always roses. Sometimes there are rough nights. When I say rough nights is everybody had to work themselves. Then they come there to work, right? And it becomes a long, long day for everybody and you kind of feel it. But we all are appreciative of one another. So it's one of those things where it just continues to expand. So who's your third, fourth, or fifth when that momentum kicks in?
I'm not even listening to you anymore. I'm just,
I know,
I'm kidding. No.
Distracted. Is Regan giving you text messages telling you to wrap it up?
Yeah,
I hear the music.
I remember last time I forgot to, because when you said that, I thought, oh my gosh, there's that show. Remember I told you there's a series on Netflix or something. I got to find this thing. It's going to drive me nuts now. It's so cool. And sometimes you've said stuff and because they go to Spain. It's this woman, trying to remember, because we watched, my wife's really into it. It got a little weird to me. It got a little woke, to be honest with you. I know we can say some
there were
political stuff.
There were some feelings?
Yeah, there were some feelings.
Involved?
As soon as there were feelings, I'm like, I'm out, check me out.
I'm out, no feelings.
They got a little weird, but it was cool. I mean, it was cool. And my wife watched it with her mom and everything. But I don't know, something about her husband and her, the crime thing happens, or he gets with the wrong people. And she goes back to like Spain, I think it is, and their family or her mom grew up on this winery, on this they had this vineyard.
Wow!
And so all these women now are doing this. That's what the whole thing is all around this. You would love it because the whole thing, and it's so many cool.
And I'd like it for different reasons, right? I want to look at what trellis system they're using.
Exactly.
If they got what grapes are they growing?
Don't worry about the relationships.
Exactly.
It's all about the.
You just hear like
the material things.
What was it? What the heck is it? Charlie Brown. You're looking at the pictures, but you're hearing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, hey, what'd you think? Oh,
I will
great.
find it. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'll have to find out what the thing is. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Because probably we should. I don't know how long. How long we've been going, Reagan? We haven't even heard from you.
I mean, you
He
could
fell
take
asleep.
a look at your.
I'm gonna take a look at
your clock. There's a clock on
Is
the
there a
right
clock?
hand
Oh,
side.
50. Wow. Rich has given us, and
wow,
we know
that
how
is
valuable your time, everything you're doing. So I'll tell you what, though. Let's talk, just if we could, a little bit about marketing. That's what this,
Yes.
So
Yes.
here you're well-read. You've done all the, I mean, obviously, you like a study in people and motivation and everything you've said. How did you approach the market? Like, so this was the first time you're involved with marketing for your business, right? Or was there other things you were involved in marketing in the past?
Well, I mean, between the rental business, that we have, and we've been doing that since 2018, and just interacting with people, I have to interact with customers in the manufacturing world.
Right.
And every day, any interaction, it's just two things that happen when you have an interaction with somebody. It's an opportunity to teach and learn, right? So that interaction, but it's also an opportunity to buy or sell.
Right.
And that's, and people kind of forget that, is that anytime you're communicating, depending on what capacity that you're in.
Right.
So if I'm in front of a customer, there's a teach to learn moment going both ways back and forth on a specific product.
Right.
But then also there's a selling point that you're making because you're providing them a service and a value in a product.
Right.
So how you handle that individual and their needs that they're looking for, understanding their point of view, all those things come in handy when you're even working through a problem, which, never let a crisis go to waste, so to speak. So if you've got a problem, fix the problem very quickly, highlight the things that are going to be done going forward and the ease of mind that they will have because you've resolved it.
Right.
But then also they see the character that you're demonstrating during that. And so people are like, I'm no longer buying that product. I'm buying that person right there. I'm buying my interactions with them. So I know when the worst of worst starts to happen, this is what I can get from them. I know what I'm going to get in return.
Awesome, yeah.
So I would say I've been in for a lot longer, but never classically trained or schooled. And I've read some books and stuff like that, but never classically trained or schooled.
So when you started the vineyard, that was the first time you could say you had to buy essentially.
Yes.
I mean, like
yes,
if you would
first
say,
time ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so from a small business, brand new business perspective, what were some of the things, and I think, and I know, I mean, we've obviously done your website, so that's been one part, but I know there's billboards. I think I've seen, you talked about social media marketing.
Yep.
So what were some of the decision making in there, do you think, in terms of how you looked at this landscape of all these options, and did you have any formula that you were going through trying to?
That's a great question. So what I had was, I took a look at, I do everything with mind maps. I love mind maps. They're like, I don't have any on me right here because I didn't bring my notebook in.
It's like a thing, like mind.
It's a thing. And at least for me, it is amazing because it turns into it almost looks kind of like a brain when you get done with it to some extent, or some type of massive wheel of things. So in the center, you could do things like you put.
So this
exactly. That's it right there. So in the center, you can start with hickory vines, right? So when you start on the wheel, you do things like, okay, you've got advertising, you've got production, you've got legality, you've got the property. There's whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. So in this case, just use advertising because that's a bubble over here.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's a bubble of concern.
Right.
So then I put that bubble there, a bubble of focus. So I put that bubble there and say, okay, what are the different avenues? I have personally made and printed off my own print media.
Okay.
And I've used different things and stuff, and even some of the stuff we've gotten from you guys, which has been great. The pamphlet and everything.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And have specifically gone on Better Business Bureau sites, all the hard work, right? That's I would say the newest version of walking door to door, right? You're still not knocking door to door.
Yeah.
But when you put stuff in an envelope addressed to a business, a school, a church, etc., right?
Right.
You're almost going door to door. It's as close as you're going to get.
Yeah.
So when you're sending that with a letter specifically saying, hey, here's who we are, this is what we're doing, local, and then you're giving them some type of print media with that, and you're putting stuff out the door that's this big. There's my mailing campaign.
Right, okay.
So that's my documented mailing campaign I got.
Right.
The next one is what is my social media campaign? There's a piece that my wife will take care of.
So you did what I would call a targeted solo mail start.
Yes, pretty much, yeah.
So in other words, targeted meaning you was going to business or thing.
I hit everybody.
I
hit everybody.
Well, then heck, we could have done that for you.
Yeah, I mean,
saturation.
I sent it to hospitals. I sent it to retirement homes.
Okay, well, that's not. I mean, everybody would be every address. In other words,
yeah,
in our industry, that would be a targeted list. You were going to specific businesses.
Exactly.
When you say everybody, you mean all the business
and stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, that's what I mean. So that was a targeted list.
Pretty much a targeted list.
That's what we would call it. Yeah.
I did omit some things out of there for sure.
Okay.
So when
we won't talk about that.
No, when you look at some of the other ones, the next thing would be social media. So my wife, for us, what we do is the Facebook, the Instagram, and stuff like that. Then there were some other individuals we were able to connect with that took a piece of that social media to help us through some of those same platforms and stuff. Then there was the website and everything through TMS that's been great. I mean, you guys are amazing. I'm not just saying that. You're amazing on when it comes to the updates, the visuals of that. In fact, MK Land Solutions is who turned me on.
Oh, that's right.
To TMS Plus, and I've got nothing but great things to say about the team between Tommy and Regan and Alyssa and the group. I mean, I'm missing probably one or two.
Tom's the main.
Yeah, the other
well,
Tom.
Tom and Tommy.
Tom is great, and Tom has done a lot of different things on there, and it's evolved over time. So, then there's our webpage, so people can interact with that. Then
I gotta say, Tommy was one of the stories we use this a lot. He was excited. I don't know if you're going to come to the summit and stuff, but and for him, he's new in doing this and stuff. And I don't know if you recall this, but early on, he came home super excited because he came over there. I forget, maybe he was dropping off the little printed pieces. And I don't know if you guys were open yet or something, or maybe the site was just coming out, and your wife was like booking all these bookings, it was all these bookings, and he goes, Dad, I got to physically see it like in front of me. Like she was like, oh my gosh, this thing's or something.
Yeah,
and he was so
through.
turned on.
Yeah.
And it was so I thought it was testimony of both. I mean, people were already moving, and then the site was doing, was working or whatever. People were contacting you. So that was so cool. It was such a tangible moment to see it. Because we're so set, in the digital especially, you're just so removed from it unless someone tells you.
And simply sees it,
Yeah.
So there was that piece, and then obviously got into the billboards.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So our billboard was flying around.
So how did you make, like even that though, how did you make a choice? Was there some of this just kind of like, hey, I'm just going to try some stuff? Or did you really have
I'm like, when it comes to anything, and anybody that knows me, that really knows me, and I've got a couple of good friends that know, I swing like a blind kid on a pinata.
Okay,
I don't care. And then whatever doesn't work, I just don't do it anymore.
Right.
But I don't, like it's a calculated risk, right? You need to advertise.
Right.
And you read and hear a lot of things about advertising. So I don't want to say
Now
I'm
here,
completely
let me
ignorant of it, but
get a little town money saver in here. And it relates digital. Like, for instance, I mean, that's all I do mostly is train, especially print, right? Well, we have all these formulas. We go like timing, market, offer, right? You got to, like, I've seen ads go out that'll do 100 times difference from the offer. And so I advertise for franchisees. And I remember talking to like Entrepreneur Magazine. I'd put ads in there, for instance, during certain key ones like franchise stuff. And I'm like, hey, teach me what works in this format, right? Like, so in other words, I mean, here's Town Money Saver. A little plug for Town Money Saver. And, so these ads, we kind of know what works in these ads. We know the audience it's going to. And we're going to feature it in a way to get the optimum response, right? And it, doofus, he's like, I don't know, just do, they don't even, I'm spending $10,000 on an ad and they don't even know. So here's my point, why I'm saying all this. I find it one of the most challenging things, and I'm in it, and I find it difficult. Like, for instance, you could try that, but like, for instance, the billboard, is there a form? There must be, maybe there's some kind of formula that works at something, it might be the photo, it might be the headline, it might be.
It's interesting you said that, because I'm not as keen on that. And some people have different preferences. And the things that I learn, and that's the other thing is learning, and your financial models that you have on what you're spending money on and stuff like that, right? Because there's a business side. It has to have a return too. You can't just do everything and get nothing out of it. I mean, there's certain things that are better than others depending on what the situation is. So one of the things that I've realized about things like billboards and big print media stuff is it's brand recognition and brand reminder, right? So it's like, oh yeah, that's still out there. Oh yeah, it's not something that specifically is going to drive as, hey, I open up something and then there's a coupon for it.
Right.
And then so there's a certain generated value. Somebody comes in, you see it, and you're able to do that. So I would ask questions, hey, how'd you hear from us? Is it your first time here? You get all that, and you hear the different avenues of what people have to offer. So
now, do you ever, okay, let's speak to that for a moment. This is kind of good conversation. Because I agree, there's a value. I also am concerned that it can sometimes be an excuse. You know what I mean? Because I've competed against stuff like that. And I'm like, well, how do I compete with something that someone just says, oh, it's like, for instance, newspaper, when it was around, someone like, we get obsessed about return on investment formulas, counting, everything very tangible, which in digital, there's a lot of that too. And yet, I'd have someone do it, and then they say, it didn't really do good. I'm going to stick with the newspaper. And I'm like, well, what is that doing for you? I don't know. I just know it works. You're like, well, what do you mean you know it works? Yeah. So, and yeah, I do. We see in digital especially, we're seeing more of that, where obviously, like you just said, there is an institutional side, there's a branding side, there's a, it puts it in people's mind in whatever way you want to describe it. But man, that can become really tough to
try to understand which one's which.
Yeah.
Well, here's how you do that, though. Then you're 100% right. You're 100% right. Because in the beginning, I knew I was going to swing like a kid on a piñata, right? Yeah. I was just going to whack away, and whatever candy fell out, that's what I was going to scoop up. The rest of it, done. I don't need the whole piñata. I just need a little bit of candy. You know? And so, but I wanted to make sure that for every swing I took after that, it was, now that I know where it is, I'm going to keep impacting it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we would do is, as soon as we see them coming in, it was a little bit easier in the beginning, right? Because now there's so many new people and so many people that have been coming in. You've got your regulars. You pretty much know who's kind of new, or maybe it's their second time. Hey, how did you hear about us? Blah, 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 blah. And I do things like, even at work, I do what are called, walking utilizations. And a walking utilization is if I walk into a square room and there are 10 people in there and 5 of them working, that's a 50% utilization. I go back into that room 3 weeks later and I see there's 10 people in there and 7 people are working. That's a 70% utilization. I go in a third time and I see 6 people. That's a 60% utilization. I don't need 3 people because my walking utilization says every time I've gone in there, I've only seen this activity from X amount of people. There may be a period where all 10 are working, but it's not at such an increased time that I can't find a way to work around that.
Right.
So with that, I took that same manufacturing application and I applied it to advertising.
Okay.
So when people came in, and I had a little notebook there and little stuff like that, and it doesn't take a lot, but you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
You have to be consistent at it, where it's like, hey, how'd you hear from us? Hey, I heard from so-and-so that came here for a wedding. It was an event. So-and-so came here for the yoga. That's an event. So-and-so came here for shop and sip. That's an event. So word of mouth. That's all word of mouth stuff.
Right, exactly.
Right? So
I would call,
WOM, yeah.
Well, it's interesting.
As a result of that. So the next thing was,
okay.
When I heard people say, oh, I was looking for a place. I Googled it. I typed in Google, and it showed me that, and I saw your website because it was connected to that. Okay, digital.
Yeah.
Digital. And there's a lot of those. There's a lot of, okay, digital. There's individuals, hey, we were looking for a place between Cleveland and Columbus. And so I went on Google, digital. There was a different reason why, but it was all the same approach.
Right.
So I started asking a specific question. You see my billboard? No. Damn. See my billboard? No. Damn.
And it's funny, Tommy saw it. I've never saw it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. I saw it once.
Is it on 30? Or?
It's somewhere around there. It moves. It moves every 2 months, which is awesome. I love that it moves.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was a very low percentage.
Oh, okay.
Now for brand recognition, if I've got 50 of them out there, that's a different story, but that's also a different cost. Too,
right. Yeah.
So I've got one floating around out there. And after a while, people that had already been coming there for different reasons said, hey, guess what? I finally saw. Well, we've already got them coming in.
Yeah.
They're already there.
Yeah.
There are some people that would come in and it would say, hey, I was driving the other day and I noticed that said, hey, Hickory Vines.
Yeah.
Well, damn, you're in Mansfield. No way. So then I looked you up and I saw that. So that generated. Okay. There you go.
So here's something and I can't help but think too, since we're on this topic and just more for fun. It makes me wonder, because in a way, I think you are seeing two different things with word of mouth and event. But let me ask you, are some of these events, like, are you hosting them and then people are signing up?
Yeah, we host them and we sign up.
So in a way, that is like that.
It's on social media, and then the person that's putting it on that is actually using our location will advertise their own way. But what's key is that somebody came to that event, but then somebody came in and said, my sister came in and did a paint event and she told me about the place. Yeah. So that's the word of mouth.
But what I really like about that, because I mean, event marketing is a big deal. We've seen a lot of studies, and you're really setting a nice place to. Yeah, I mean, you could do a show, right? You could have band.
We got November 15th. We got a comedy night. We have 2 comics coming in, and it's our weekly. It's our anniversary that entire week.
You're sitting golden for You do something like that. And you're gonna have people come that didn't even know the winery, right? They're just coming for the comedian. Next thing you know, they're like,
exactly. Hey, what's going on with this? Yeah. There's a venue. There's massive pavilions. There's camping, especially like the camping. We've got people that actually have gone through digital through a site because I call it like the Airbnb of camping. It's called Hip Camp. Oh, okay. And I've had more Hip Camp customers come in and rent the campsites than actually people that come out to the winery. Although we've had some. Wow. It was just it was odd to me. I figured, the customers that come there all the time, all our locals, like, oh yeah, we're going to go out there, we're going to do the camping. And we've had that. Yeah. But we've actually had slightly more on the Hip Camp side. And I'm like, that's incredible. Wow. But some of these people are 2 hours away.
Now, can you do more with the Hip? Can you actually go on Hip Camp and buy ads or do more with them?
I don't know. I don't know if
because to me that's everything, right? Wherever you're getting it from, I want to get more. Yeah, right? I mean, I always tell people I can't create what's not there. I can only take what's there and make it better. That's what I'm
sure if you're looking for tents in a certain area, you could do something that gets your thing up at the top of the list. Yeah.
We could. I mean, we could even help with that here. Yeah. But I just wonder. Okay, like for instance, if I understand, I think DoorDash. Can't you, Reagan? Well, Reagan's the guy here. Reagan, why don't you speak up? On DoorDash, can't you like do something to move yourself up or buy ads or something on DoorDash?
Somewhat. I mean, I do think there are sponsored positions, and they kind of work like local service ads.
Yeah, so I guess my point would be this what'd you call it, Hip Tent or something?
Hip Camp.
Hip Camp. You just wonder. I bet you. I'd just be curious. Like maybe you. I mean, if you're getting people from there now, why not boost it even more, right? I mean, it's like something that's working. Maybe
I need to see what.
Look it up, Reagan.
Yeah, what options it has. That would be great. And the season's almost over because it's getting colder out. But I was really pleased with how many people came through that. I mean, every weekend for the past 4 weekends, we've had people out there camping.
That's crazy. That's so cool.
Just built that. Yeah.
All right. So and I guess, well, I know you got probably. I mean, we use a lot of your time. What just for fun? What's in the future here? I know you got your visions. Can you just for fun? We'll wrap up with you talking a little bit about what you see, the new things coming for. Yeah. Hickory Vines.
Well, I think the new things obviously are the building that's going up in November. We're very excited about that. We want to actually host our New Year's Eve party there.
Cool. Well, that's going to be fast. You're just building in November and you want to host a New Year's Eve party?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We don't mess around. It's like that blanket I'm talking about.
Yeah,
you know? So you keep swinging away and doing your thing. So the building is a big thing. Then next year in the spring, there's a lot of planting going on. There's a second vineyard that's being built. There's another 100 trees being put into the orchard. Those kind of things.
Yeah.
A lot of the property is going to be upgraded in regards to the aesthetics now. Yeah. So it's been a functional property. It's been things that we've been adding patios, stuff inside the building, the furnitures, the pavilions have been, like upgraded. You're upgrading your vineyard. So now what it is the things like the landscaping and all the other stuff. So it's more picturesque. And there was a discussion. Somebody, one of the little girls that comes through here with her family, we love them. They come every week. They haven't missed a week. I think 1 week they did. They still came and bought bottles. Love this family. Won't say their name. Great family. Their daughter had asked me, and they go, "Hey, how much in debt are you?" And it was a brilliant question because she understood. She understood that there's a financial implication of all this. Is that you're taking on something to get this. But so then I actually had a conversation with her for about 20 minutes about student debt. Oh, God, she had to be like maybe 13, 14 years old.
Wow.
And
she might be one of those 10%ers.
14, yeah. Oh, yeah. She's definitely a smart girl. And we had a conversation about good debt and bad debt. There's, you can have good debt, depending on what it's bringing back to you. I said, but the other thing we obviously do too is, and you've seen the way that I dress, we put everything back into that place.
Yeah.
Everything goes into it, into the point where I spend money, lots of money out of my own paychecks.
Yeah.
On those things. We don't have new cars. All the equipment's paid for, with cash. I mean, we put everything we have. And I think people see that every week they come out, every month they come out, there's something new and bigger happening to the property that they can then enjoy. And I think people gravitate to that. It's not like a corporate machine that is just pulling revenue in.
Yeah.
And it's the same model. Don't get me wrong. I understand it with my degrees. I understand how that works and value generation. But, I'm not only just the stakeholder. I own it. This is my property. This is important to me. It's important to people around us.
I think you can't get any more authentic too. I mean,
right,
like you said,
true.
You guys live there.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like so cool.
Yeah.
Is that shirt from Goodwill or something then?
No. This is my work shirt.
I know, I'm just kidding.
It's my work shirt.
Well, you said you see how you dress.
Yeah, and my pants are from Amazon. So,
Mine's all from Sam's Club.
That's it. This is me dressing up, by the way.
Oh, okay,
I put a polo on. I
yeah.
usually wear a T-shirt, or I'm out on with my ball cap in the tractor. So it's one of those things that, I'm just very excited about because everything we get, we put back into there and of ourselves. And people see that. You can feel that energy when you walk in. You feel that, hey, look, I kind of equate it to the Trojans and then the Greeks, right? It's just, we burned our ships.
Yeah.
Our ships are burnt. There is no going back. This is where we live. This is what we're doing. This is how we have no choice.
How do you guys get a break? I mean, do you ever get away?
No.
Oh, man.
No.
Okay.
We got something.
You don't get burned out.
Yeah, we got something coming up here pretty soon that my wife and I are going to be able to get away. We did something for our anniversary and stuff, but I'm very grateful.
Are you able to close it off? I've physically seen the gate, but I mean, is there like a gate?
No.
So people could just drive in there.
People pull up. We're like doing production stuff, and the winery's closed. People come up. We're like, hey, come on in. Well, we'll talk to you. We'll do some things. We'll buy bottles.
Man.
We give them the stories. We take them out on a trip or whatever in the back and show them stuff. Because it's important. And people made a trip out there, and they might have been 45 minutes drive. We can't say, hey, sorry, we're closed.
Yeah.
That's so rude. These people drove out. They spent their time coming to see the place. The least we could do, the stuff we were doing can wait.
Yeah.
They are the most important. People feel that.
I was going to say, how do you not feel that or sense that, the whole package we've talked about? So it's so exciting to see how this is going to play out. Yeah. And, and I'm sure anybody, at least local, if they're watching this, I mean, I've heard it from people in the street. So besides just the reviews, I'm sure there's so many more of these out there. So I can't wait to see how this thing explodes, man. And
we're lucky.
Watch the journey as you go. And do you ever see yourself like full time in it? Do you see yourself?
I do. I see myself full time when I retire from manufacturing. So I would say I'd like to. It's funny. It's twofold. I see myself probably within the next 5 years. I'd like to be doing this full time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got other things to worry about in life, like medical and other stuff like that too. I mean, that costs an arm and a leg and things.
Nightmare.
I love manufacturing. I love what I do. I've got a ton of energy. I'm still extremely fit and everything. So I'm going to do that as long as I can. But I actually thought of in 5 years or so going into politics. To be honest with you, local politics. I did.
Very cool.
I want to be that person that can be counted on to help make a difference in the right direction. You're not going to solve all the problems. I think when people go out and start making promises and these, grand gestures and these delusions of grandeur, everything takes work. Everything takes a vision, strategy, structure, staffing, systems, and execution. Yeah. So when you walk into an office and you're in charge of making decisions now for a group of people, that had said, hey, look, we want you to do this. That's why you're being voted on. You have an obligation. It's no longer to yourself. You're not self-serving. They talk about servant leadership, which we could talk about forever and that kind of stuff, is that when you get voted into office, I love the concept of citizen politicians where you go in for a short time. You do what you're supposed to, almost like kind of military service. You go in, you do your thing, and you get out and you hand the baton off to somebody better than the baton got handed to you. Yeah. And it keeps going up. And you are building on the shoulders of those before you. Yeah. And I don't think we look at it like that. At least that's my personal preference. I don't think we look at it like that. I don't think it's
super old guys in there.
Yeah. And I mean, and there's career people. That's the thing. Yeah. Like, I just want to go in because I want to experience it. I want to learn from it. I want to interact with people. I want to see something that could be sustained and last longer than myself as an individual and for my kids and those that I know and care around me. And for somebody to say 20, 30 years down the road on some super duper whatever, it winds up being whatever media is 30 years from now on something like this going, I remember this guy, Rich Perone. Yeah. And he did it, and he's not gone. Yeah. As long as I mention his name, he's still here. That's a big deal.
That's very cool. Yeah. Well, and I can't help but think you've already achieved. I guarantee there has to be your employees, or whether it's at the manufacturing or your winery, that you've probably already had an impact. Like, was it Steve? Is that what you said the other guy's name was? The guy that impacted you?
Oh, Peter. Peter Zazowski.
Yeah, Peter. Horrible. No, that's right. That's like, I can't read. I can't read books. I can't remember anything. That's what I tell them. Sometimes they're like, what do you do at times? I don't know.
Yeah,
show up and talk, man.
That's it. But you have a way of pulling stuff out of people, though. See, you've got that vibe, that energy. You're able to draw things out. I mean, you should be an interrogator.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds
You'd be
fun.
like the good cop, though. You'd have to be the good cop.
Yeah. Okay.
You'd have to come in and
Well, I do believe I had to do a commencement thing one time, and I think we touched on this last time. That and Jared brought up. We did one here. I love because I don't know about you, but a lot of times I've tried to do things I couldn't really do well, like accounting. I can't do accounting. Yeah. And I obviously can't remember stuff. And but you find your gift, right? You find something happens and you're like, wait, this is easy.
Yeah.
And
you like it.
Yeah, you like it. You're easy, you're good at it. And you think everybody does it. You realize people like vision. A lot of people don't have vision stuff, right?
That is true.
So you have it, and you're like, wait a minute, this is awesome. I mean, it's easy for me. I'm good at it. And this is what I'm gonna do, right? Instead of fighting that, like we know, I think if you spend time like, I want to be this person over here. I gotta. So that was even my message. You're like, find your gift and share your gift, and that's your joy. That's your rest of your life. So, anyway, what you're saying, drawn out, if I had something that's what I get to enjoy when I meet new franchises, people, and I think that Peter to you was. What he saw in you, when you could see it in somebody and bring it out in them and encourage, man, there's a high from that, when you can say, hey, you are more than what you see yourself as, and you see that grow. So, I think that's awesome. But anyway. Okay,
well, we go out to the Storyside Church, and, my wife is extremely, religious and focuses on that and believes in that. So do I. I mean, I am, I divert my attention at times to functionality things and stuff, but as she's devout And God bless her, because everybody should have a praying wife, as they say.
Oh yeah, mine too.
And our pastor out there, Pastor Mike, an amazing human being, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of good things I've seen come out of there.
Amazing human being, by the way. Him and his wife Angel and his entire staff are amazing. And he says things though. He says things that will stick with you, like your time, your talent, and your treasure.
Yeah.
These are things that you have to offer. And you sit back and you think, and things that I heard that like, you can't have vision without provision.
Oh.
I mean, and these aren't gimmicky things that he's saying either, because you can see that he's applying them, he's living them, and he's another individual that I would put on that list of people. And although we have contact, not direct contact like I've had with some of those other leaders in my life, but he is still, here is a, local, church leader, if you will, and somebody that takes that role very seriously. And you feel the motivation, the motive, you feel the authenticity, you feel the intimacy, the reliability, the credibility, all that individuals. But when he says things like that is, what are you offering people? You offer people your time. What are you offering people? I'm offering you my talent. What are you offering you? I'm offering you my treasure. In regards to like Hickory Vines, is the value cost of what you're spending is less than you would be somewhere else. So that's treasure. Yeah. So if you're walking in and you're getting all three of those, man, this is great. You don't want to walk in and spend a lot of money, really not getting any time from anybody. And from the talent and interaction standpoint, you're like, wow, I could have done a little bit better myself. You have to give of yourself.
Well, so much of what you've been saying since you brought it up with the church reminds me of really a Christian kind of journey. It reminds me of the stuff that, we, the virtues, let's say, of Christianity, in terms of almost like evangelization, in a way where, to me, you open your heart to Christ, you fall in love with Christ, and you're overwhelmed and want to share it, right? You just, hey, I want to go out and share. This is awesome. This is like a great meal or great. And here, that's what you're so passionate about. And just that, you're passionate about your winery. I would love to spend my money with someone that's, how often do you go somewhere and people are passionate about
what they do and the individuals
like
coming
never,
in?
Like 10% of the time.
When you know
right?
people's name coming through the door, you know what their drinks are, you know all that other stuff. You get that very minimal nowadays.
That's worth, it's just, we'll do a little business here on the outro or whatever. Yes. I know, and unfortunately, we have to raise prices over time. And I know you're wanting to be low, but I know, like
inflation kicks in, insurance kicks in.
Yeah, I had, we've been around 30 some years. So
permits, taxes, all that
so
stuff
you got to at some point. And I've had franchise, which I love their passion. The passion was I don't want to raise the price. I love my customers. And finally, the one guy said, "Look at man," I go, I don't want to do it either. I'm forced because I'm going. I said, don't you have somebody you really love doing business with? Don't you have someone that, I don't know, maybe you've bought a few cars from them, or you go to a restaurant you love. Don't you imagine them not being there?
Exactly.
Don't you want to give them, your customers want to give you a little. Now, of course, that sounds really nice until one guy, I'm raising your head $10, get out of here. But most of them, and obviously, like someone like you, the way you're describing it, right? I would in a heartbeat if you came, the way it sounds like your customers interact with you. I'm sure they'd be like,
you let them
pay
know.
another $1 for this.
That's the other thing we were talking about, like our Pastor Mike, and other individuals that have business and stuff. The being transparent is huge. Everybody, we let people know when we talk to them. Hey, look, here's what's happening. At the end of the year, we have to renew everything for the new year.
Right.
That is you've got your insurance that comes in. You've got your permits that come in. You've got the increase into the new year of the product increases. It's not, hey, this is great. Like if you looked at the price of what they had at Cheers, if Cheers bar was still open and on television, their cost would be commensurate with today, right?
Exactly.
The beer you paid back then versus now. Now that's where we have to be responsible and understand of what can we do with our cost of goods sold. What can we do with things like buying bulk? And my wife talked about that. We talk about it all the time. Bigger building and stuff. Hey, can we do something with our bottles that we get in? We were buying little cases. Now we're buying 1,500 at a time. Can we buy 5,000? That will cover us for the first 6 months of the year, but I can get a unit cost that's lower. If we get a unit cost that's lower, we don't need to raise the price going into 25. And we still maintain our margin and our ability to do what we're doing. That's what you want to do. Some places, what they'll do is say, oh, great, you up the margin, put it in my pocket. Yeah. That's not, people will see that very quickly. So what happens is the margin or the price gap starts to, although yours is going up,
right?
the gap of yours going up versus others, you've got this steady incline, but you don't have this steady taking advantage incline.
Right, yeah.
How do you charge something 27% more markup from the prior 12-month period?
Oh, yeah. It's out there, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's out there. You see that on a lot of different things. And even in our business, because we do a lot in the manufacturing, I mean, thousands of SKUs of stuff that we buy.
Yeah.
And you're looking at stuff, that makes sense. What the hell is going on with this one?
Yeah.
How do you get into double-digit increases? And what's going, so then you question it and you look at it, and sometimes there's disingenuous stuff. Sometimes like, oh, shit, that makes sense. They're going to go to a different country.
Well, and I know your passion is to keep it down in that, but I can't help but think that exact, that's sort of that paradox. That same passion to keep it down is probably the passion that also would allow it to rise without losing customers.
100%.
You know what I mean?
And you just let them know, because somebody will say, hey, what's going on? We saw this, because we've got new menus that are going to be coming out in 2025. Every year we said, hey, look, every year we'll put out a new menu. Right. That new menu has to be commensurate with the pricing, which means there are increases during the summertime that happen that we didn't increase on. Yeah. Because it's the normal draw, right? Everybody's doing everything. Everybody wants everything for the parties and So that's an opportunity for distributors and everybody else to say, hey, I can get a markup here because I've got less. That's it. You got less of something, it goes up in price. We keep it straight, keep it flat. So then what we'll do is obviously we'll do our increases in 25, and then we wait all the way until 26. Even if you take some hits in between there somewhere in March or April, somebody decided to roll out theirs then. Yeah. I'm not going to, hey, we upped this $1.50. Well, look, I'm not going to nickel and dime the guy and increase that 25 cents a third of the way through the year. Right. And it's like, okay, well, I was able, no, your margin got eaten into. You don't pass it on to the customer right away. But when the new year rolls around, what always gets me is things like taxes and insurance, and because these are big numbers.
Yeah. I'm on the Lucas Community Center board, and just this morning and the insurance is ridiculous. Oh, that's our biggest massive single expense.
And I just realized this week that I'm used to insurance being a certain value on homes and all this other stuff. Did not understand insurance relative to sales. So as our sales are going to go up next year, like a pro forma, you're kind of projecting what's going on, what the percentage are. So does your insurance when you have things like alcohol and hay rides and campsites, and there's exposure and stuff, right? So they're like, oh, well, because you're doing that much more than what you thought you were going to be doing, this is what it's going to be based off of what you did this year. And you're like, my mouth is open. I'm like, well, if I'm doing just the raw math myself, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to pay that much, that it's going to go up that high because of this. And the fact that we didn't have any claims, any problems.
I never thought of that. So because
it's based on activity.
We hosted this thing called a White Lightning Run. Did I share that with you at our place? I still have to show you the stage and
I want to see
rockabilly
that,
band.
sure.
But I remember calling this motorsports insurance company, and I'm talking to a lady, and I said, well, we're going to have hot rods running around simulated moonshine run. It was very safe because you couldn't go too fast. It was through a cornfield in the woods. And we're going to have live bands. And I thought, we'll have camping to make it safer. Yeah. People can drink.
They don't have to drive away. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't drive away. She goes, we won't touch that with a 1,000-foot pole. And I'm like, really? She goes, you're going to have live bands, drinking and camping. She goes, that is and what she said is, the most dangerous thing is the camping. That what happens is because people if they know they're camping, they just keep drinking. Yeah. Yeah. And then someone drives over somebody. Yeah. Now, I didn't want to scare you, but I thought, you guys might have a great place. We could resurrect a lightning run. Yeah. Dude, we made like you can make tons of money on that thing. I'll have to hook you up after the show here.
For sure. Yeah. But you just said it is like whatever your exposure is based on your sales. And so I've learned a lot within a week of that, so it's like the better you do and the more people are involved, because there's exposure, and I get it, but then somebody's got their hand out. And if you've got a place that you're managing correctly and you're doing it right and you have the right clientele, meaning you're not allowing bad elements and other stuff to get in there, the exposure is much less. And so they're using their models and all their stuff that they do, right? Yeah. To say, well, collectively, this is the exposure, this is what you have to pay. Even if you're on the low end of that and would never have that happen, you still have to pay this rate. That's frustrating because that's a big piece of the margin. And you always wind up, if you're doing it the right way, I said this to my wife, I said, when we do this and we're going to keep doing this the right way, we're always going to eat some of it, if not the majority of it. Yeah. And I said, I'm okay with that, provided this thing is the vision that it's turning into. Yeah. But it is a tough sell because it is a little demotivating when you make such a big stride in doing something and somebody else not involved with our customers and the people that come there, not involved with the community that you're in, not involved with the efforts that you're putting in, get such a massive.
Oh yeah.
And aren't even
say
there.
That about taxes and capital gains.
Yeah. Oh,
one day you go to sell the place.
Don't even get me started on what potentially could happen with capital gains. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You spend all your life doing something, and then you have it and then all of a sudden now you're in your 50s, 60s, whatever. You've got a home, everything's paid for, and it happens to go up in value because of inflation, and it will because it's an appreciating asset. And oh, by the way, you owe us taxes. I didn't make any money this year. Yeah, but your house jumped up 50,000, so you owe us 18% on 50,000.
Oh yeah.
So what happens is people have no other recourse but then to sell hard assets.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you own nothing and you're happy about it.
Yeah.
Not on my
just
watch.
a redistribution.
Not on my watch. And that's exactly why I want to go into politics. Is I think you have to take care of those that need to be. And that's why I joined the Marine Corps too. Other than I had a choice. If I was going to do something, I was going to go into where you had to help other people. Like I don't like bullies. I don't like stuff like that. So I want to protect those who need protecting, and I want to work with those who are shoulder to shoulder with you.
Yeah.
And people do need help. People do need help at times. A help up, not a handout type of thing. You know?
No, I like that.
And I think we miss that on the political front of things, but we can talk about that next time.
All right. To wrap up, no, that was good. How about you want to tell us about your tattoos? I always think those are cool. Like, you got a little story there or anything? Or you just drunk one night? Or?
No. I mean, my mom's an old Armenian woman, came over from Armenia, her family and stuff like that. And so my tattoos, I've got them all over. I've actually got armor up on this side. But a lot of it is, I've got a yin and yang from when I got my first black belt. I've got steel on my chest, and I got that one when I was over in Japan. I went to Japan many, many times in the steel industry for work.
Yeah.
I was very grateful for that, very fortunate about that. And we had a joint venture with Nippon Steel. So I got steel on there.
Wow, that's cool.
But then when you see this is kanji for never give up. So I have all this armor on me because my mom said.
That was part of, I just gave a talk, and it was part of my talk. And actually, it was based on a late 18th century saint who got addicted to opium.
Really?
And he could not give it up.
Oh.
And he prayed for martyrdom. And he was martyred in the Boxer Rebellion and became a saint.
Wow.
But anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
But that was cool.
So my mom said
and what's that? Is that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No. It's a Nordic. It's a Nordic gauntlet.
I was kidding about the Ninja Turtles.
So my mom said you always wear your heart on your sleeve, and you need to protect yourself from that. And over the years, I've just added many tattoos to protect myself.
What's the one
and
up there
remind myself. Oh, that's just more tribal armor. This is the gauntlet over the shoulder. I got a chest plate over here.
Are you kind of scary with your shirt off?
And then my favorite team.
Oh,
there.
Notre Dame.
Yeah,
there you go.
I actually went to the Mendoza School of Business. For many months on an executive MBA program there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we could spend days with Rich here.
God, forget about it.
Super appreciate you. I mean, with everything you're doing, for you to take the time to come here, man.
I'm grateful for you guys.
Appreciate it, Rich.
Hey,
Thanks so much.
Appreciate
Love
you
you being on Making Sense.
Yes.
If you haven't been there, get out to Hickory Vines and Winery and buy some steel from Vitro or something. Is that what it is?
Glass.
Glass.
Buy some cars.
Glass. Yeah.
Buy some cars out there. We need you. A lot of cars.
All right. Over and out.
See you guys.